By the light of the sun, by the depth of the moon, by the flame of the wand, by the pentacle of earth, I call upon the guides of wisdom, the ancestors of the craft, and the holy guardian angel. Guide us now through the stations of the dove and serpent. Reveal what is hidden, that we may transform it into light. Hello, Aries. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. Today we walk the path of the dove and serpent spread, an 11-fold journey of transformation. Each position reveals a unique aspect of your journey, alternating between the essence of your being and the events that shape your destiny. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Aries, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And we begin with the Five of Swords. Okay, this is position 1, the station, right? This kind of represents our sense of self, the way we are sort of experiencing ourselves right now, right? Perhaps our preoccupation right now, what the ego is sort of working on. And the Five of Swords is a card of mental conversation, debate. It's a dialogue we're having with ourselves, right? I feel like we're trying to figure something out, okay? It kind of represents like what we're identifying with something right now. And maybe we're trying to find the answer to something. I feel that you're in a very, like, kind of a calm, thoughtful mode right now. You know, usually Aries has this reputation of being just all action and no thought, really, right? But I think people see your sort of gung-ho, energy occasionally, and they think that you're impulsive. They think that you're sort of just jumping into everything without any kind of thought or without any kind of rhyme or reason, right? But this is you rhyming and reasoning, or trying to rhyme. Maybe the Six of Swords would be the rhyming. So I feel that this is the intense depth of thought of which you're capable before you take a big action, before you step up to the plate and do whatever it is you're about to do, before you make any big sort of moves in your life. Okay? So right now we're in this very thoughtful mode. We're not in a mode of action. We're in this mode of really thinking, right? And, this card obviously is asking us, where is our attention fixed right now? Maybe we are looking at the world and thinking that there's not a lot of answers out there. Maybe we're looking at the world and thinking there is no rhyme or reason to things. There is no logical way forward here, right? And so maybe this is in some way the ego kind of saying like, I give up trying to find answers. Let's just go with the flow, maybe, okay? Because we could search for answers. And I think really life's about asking the right questions. It's not so much about the answers, but it's about having that inquisitive mind. And the inquisitive mind usually is like a princess of swords, but this is kind of showing that we might be more identified right now with the asking of the questions and the search for the answer. And we might be expecting there to be some answer coming. Okay, let's put this into a little bit of context. Let's lay the rest of our cards on the table. We have a Princess of Wands now. That's very interesting. We're just talking about the princess. We have the Art or Temperance card. Nine of Cups. Very nice. We have an Ace of Swords. And we have a Five of Pentacles. That is interesting, the Ace of Swords, right? Because that kind of is, well, that's the clarity, but it's not the clarity we think. We'll talk about it. Here we have a, Prince of Swords, makes sense. Three of Pentacles. We have a Prince of Wands, and we have the Death card. We have continued transformation. So ultimately, it feels as if this is a big card of change, right? But this is a long change that is happening over the course of time, the Death card. Yeah. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it down over here. And no, it's no longer Jimbo. Now we're going to use, I think we just used Mr. Dow, didn't we? Let's go to Tiny Bob Ross. I think this might be everybody's favorite. Tiny Bob Ross right on top. Happy little card. And we're not going to look at that happy little card until the very end of the reading, where it will tie everything together and it will give us our confirmation. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card could be, put your prediction in the comments down below. Your guess, your hunch, whatever you got. Yeah. Let's look around the room. It's very interesting what we see here. We see two major arcana energies. Both are cards of transformation, right? This is an inner transformation, and this might be the outer transformation, right? And so we kind of have this corresponding inner and outer growth, right? We have fire and fire. We have good water in our background here. We have air, air, air. And we've got a couple of earth cards. So it's pretty balanced, right? It's pretty balanced. The obstacle, the second position is called the battle, right? And this is our personal quest right now. This is the field of our conflict. This is where our dilemma really rises right now in your life, okay? Shows the events or the situation that's testing your resolve, and it's the Princess of Wands. It's a very impulsive card. This is that part of you that wants to just rush into something, wants to just jump in without thinking, you know. Would be different if we had the Knight of Wands, right? Knight of Wands is fire on fire. It's your Aries power card. And that card is a confirmation that's saying we are jumping in, we are not hesitating, we're not giving it another thought, we're going forward. This now, we're saying, whoa, 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 not so fast, right? Because with the Knight of Wands, I usually say you got to trust it. Horse and rider have to be one. You've got to leap into action. This is the card that says, maybe we should think it through first. Well, coincidentally, you are. So this is absolutely perfect. Whenever we get the Princess of Wands, I say, we might want to think about what we're doing before we do it. Well, you're already there. You're one step ahead of me, okay? So that's good. So this is, the Princess of Wands is where we have to really grow and transform. This is us trying now to put a little space between our impulse and our behavior. We feel something, we want to jump into something, but we're saying, whoa, let's think about it. Let me think it through. Let me look for some answers. Let me ask the questions. So we're asking questions, and that's good. We have this big impulse. I want to leap into this big thing really fast with everything I've got. So let me sit down and think about it. Let me poke holes in it. Let me be a scientist for a minute. And let me try to break it down. Let me see how many different questions I could formulate. Doesn't mean I'm going to get that many answers. But we're doing our due diligence. That's what it is. We're vetting it, right? This impulse. And so this is kind of where we're feeling a response coming out of us, and we're keeping it in check. And maybe it's something simple like someone sent you an odd text message, and instead of just firing off a response real quick, we're saying, well, wait a minute. Let me just sit with it for a few minutes. Let me think about it. Let me ask questions of it. Did they really mean what I feel like they meant? Could they have meant something else? What was the tone of their voice? I can't hear their voice, can I? It's a text message. So we're kind of just asking those questions. We're not really getting answers. It's almost rhetorical, right? But we're giving ourselves pause, right? So that we don't immediately just fire off a response to life without really thinking about it, asking the questions. And really asking the questions just gives us a little bit of food for thought, and it gives us a little bit of space between the impulse, between the stimulus, right? You got that weird text message and you're about to fire off a response. We're putting a little space between the stimulus and then our response. Okay? And so I feel like that's where we're really called right now to sort of change, to grow, And so maybe this is about the evolution of the Aries energy. Maybe the more stereotypical, I'm just jumping into something, I'm just acting or reacting without thinking. Well, we're not doing that, are we? We're thinking. And so I think this is very good, and I think it shows that we are maturing, we're making progress. We're not just being reactive. Maybe this is, somebody says something to you at work. And instead of just immediately interpreting it automatically and firing off a response, we're holding off, we're waiting, we're thinking, we're asking questions in ourselves, we're having an internal dialogue about it. to see if we can get a little bit of clarity over it. Maybe this is a big life-changing decision you're about to make. Maybe there's an opportunity here for you to switch jobs, different career, go to a different department or something like this. And your impulse will just jump up and run in that direction. But you're saying, wait a minute. You're saying, whoa, to the horse, and you're going to ask some questions about it. And you don't know what the answers are really bringing you. You don't know if they're bringing you any absolute truth. Our Ace of Swords reminds us that there is no absolute truth. You may ask the questions and get certain answers from the other person or from yourself. But we don't base our decision on those answers, because what if I'm wrong? What if they're not telling me everything, We still have to kind of follow our intuition a little bit. But we'll get there when we talk about the Ace of Swords. So this could be a very small, life-changing decision, or a very, very big life-changing decision, right? It could be something as small as how we're reacting to, someone that cuts us off in traffic, or that kind of weird text message that we're not sure how to interpret, but our impulse wants to just fire back something that's emotionally charged, that's got a little heat behind it, right? Fire off a fastball in their direction, so to speak. So this is where we're evolving. This is the challenge right now through which we are growing. And I think this is fine. This is fantastic, right? Like I said, you're one step ahead of things here. So let's put the camera back this way. And let's put the cards the way they're supposed to be. The third position underneath the surface is the soul. It is part of your character. And this reveals your unconscious drive, or your private self. Right? This is the secret wellspring of feelings and memories, and it's the art or temperance card. So this is sort of, this is like the energy inside of you that's kind of shaping your destiny right now. And I think that literally this card is temperance, right? So it's kind of saying, like, I'm tempering my responses to things, that I'm looking at whatever the situation is as an opportunity for me to grow. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to take that better position, or to go move across the globe somewhere new, or to get involved in a new relationship, or to respond to somebody's weird text message, right? There's an opportunity here for you to act in the external world, but it's an opportunity for you to make a little bit of progress in your spiritual development and in your growth, right? So, this is that card of holding back our impulsive reaction to something, tempering our responses. And to do that, we have to put a little bit of space between stimulus and response, between input and output, a little bit of space between the impulse and the behavior. Okay, this card is about the art. It's saying that life is an art form, life is a strategy. So it seems reasonable that we would want to think about something a little bit more and kind of figure out, how do I need to behave in this situation that's going to be the best for everything involved? It's going to be the best for me personally, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. What's going to be the best for the other person? What's going to be the best for the world, for the universe, right? So we're thinking of consequences. We're taking in taking consideration of others into our decision making. Okay, so I feel like this is the card of the blacksmith's anvil. This is the pressure cooker, right? And so we're dealing with this internal pressure that is just like, I want to burst with this reaction. Maybe I'm so excited, I got this opportunity, and I want to take this new job, and I'm bursting with excitement. Or alternatively, I'm bursting with a little bit of anger and impulsivity. This person sent me a text message that I'm automatically interpreting as being an attack or something, and I want to fire a fastball off to them. So there's this urge inside of us that really wants to be expressed, and we're tempering that response. Okay, we're keeping that inside, and we're transmuting it into. We're transmuting really the impulsive response into a sort of strategic or well thought out or calm, controlled response. So it's not just impulse reaction. It is a controlled and willed, intentional response to something. And I think that this really shows that internal growth that's taking place for you. Yeah, and but this is kind of that hidden desire card as well. This is under the surface, so this is something happening within you. the transformation, but it's also that there is this energy inside of you that's bursting like outwards. It's an internal pressure that wants to, sort of explode and act impulsively. But we're tempering ourselves, essentially, right? And so I can kind of sense that this is like, this is in chemistry or alchemy, this is the boiling flask, right? That's under tremendous pressure. Maybe we have, we've put the vacuum pump on, right? And the water is sort of boiling at a lower temperature because we reduce the atmospheric pressure inside the boiling flask. Maybe I'm being too technical here, but we reduce the atmospheric pressure inside the boiling flask, and therefore the water is boiling at a lower temperature, right? And so we feel that we're maybe a little bit too easily aroused. We're too easily stimulated into a response by things. It's like, well, wait a minute, I don't need to be so reactive to everything. If there's an opportunity here, maybe I can just sit with it for a minute, even 10 seconds, and then give an answer. Whether maybe it's I should just at least sit with it for 5 or 10 minutes, 5 or 10 seconds, maybe even a day or two before I decide how I'm really going to react to this. So we may be feeling lately that we've been a little bit more ready to jump the gun. We've been a little bit on edge, and so now we're really working to be a little bit more tempered, a little bit more thoughtful, I think, by having that dialogue before we react to something. And so I feel like right now there is something quite major that's going on in your life. It feels like it's a life-changing, decision, a life-changing response that you're about to execute. But it could be a very small matter, right? Position 4 is the dwarf, the event that it uncovers some past influences and some inertia or some drag, right? Something that might be shaping our current situation. It, of course, is happiness, right? And this sometimes is a previous situation, an event in your life that is affecting you right now. And this is the card really of a dream come true. This is a card of us having superabundance, physical, financial, mental, emotional, and spiritual, creative fulfillment, right? And so we have to wonder if this decision that's on the table, if this is going to sort of ruin a very good thing, or if this is the chance for us to get one step further than this, right? So we kind of have to, in these moments where we're stimulated into some kind of a reaction, we don't want to react in such a way that we're going to kind of like dismantle what we've built, right? It's the way a kid in a moment of frustration might like break their toy because the toy's not working right, so they might throw it on the ground and break it, At least I did when I was a kid. I don't know if anybody else does that. And it's counterintuitive, right? It doesn't make sense. The toy wasn't working, so I made it not work even more, Or, this is a beautiful relationship that you have, or it's a beautiful job that you already have, right? There's some happiness in your life. That's sort of saying, hey, whatever you do, don't do anything that's going to diminish your sense of well-being. Don't do anything that's going to ultimately be bad for you. I mean, that seems logical, right? We don't want to react to life in a way that's going to be counter to our goals, right? It just doesn't make sense, but we do that very often as human beings, don't we? We'll react to something in a way that after the fact, the aftermath of something, we'll say, oh, yeah, that wasn't probably the right thing to say. The way we might spit something back at the boss, and then we're in trouble at work, right? And it's like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Or we'll fire a text message off to somebody thinking that they came at us with this emotional charge. But we might be under a lot of pressure, or in the alchemical sense, we might be under in a vacuum, and so we're boiling at a lower temperature, right? Which means we're very sensitive to things that normally we wouldn't really be that sensitive to. And then we might send off that fastball text response and start a big fight with our best friend or our lover or, a coworker or something like this, or, the boss or whatever. And that's going to be counter to our best interests. So I feel like the 9 of of Cups back here is sort of representing a general energy of where you're coming from. There's this happiness that is still influencing you, and it's kind of saying, hey, don't do anything right now that's going to diminish this. Well, what if the choice in front of us right now is going to actually augment this? That would be a very, very good choice, right? And I think that's what we're trying to determine now, is if the decision we're about to make, or the response that we're formulating, is going to increase our happiness or decrease our happiness, or our abundance, or our well-being, or our health, or whatever it is related to, right? So this is the card that may be saying, you're not going to do any better than what you've done in the past. So any decision we make now is going to be a step down, right? And so this might be a little bit of that, a little bit of doubt, that kind of makes you feel like, I can't do any better than what I've done, so I should probably say no to this situation, okay? So I wonder if this is kind of an opportunity that's on the table for you. Not to react in a way of anger necessarily, but this impulse to jump into something, and your very, very wise choice to sit and think about it first. Because this might be an opportunity to really step up, to take this happiness up a notch. We have to believe that it's possible to go up. Okay? Sometimes pessimism is us saying it's not going to get any better than what it is now. So it might be this little bit of doubt that's saying you can't do any better than what you have or where you've been, so this is probably not a good idea. Okay, so we can look at it that way. It doesn't just have to be that we're so happy now, we don't want to do anything to ruin our happiness. It could be that we don't believe we could do any better than what we've done. And so maybe we don't feel like we deserve happiness or we deserve anything better. Maybe we feel as if we're not capable of making any kind of progress and having any more abundance in our life, right? And to me, that feels like the essence of pessimism, where we feel like this is as good as things will ever be, and they'll never get better than this. Now, sometimes that's like, hey, that's not so bad. But I feel like optimism is really saying, hey, things can always get better. Optimism says things are bad right now, but things could get better. Or things are great right now, and let's make them even more great. But that's why you have your Five of Swords, because we're trying to figure out how I should react to this current situation, how I should formulate a wise response, a tempered and willful and intentional response in order to make my life better and not worse, essentially, right? Now, the next card in the spread is position 5. It's the Giant. It reveals our driving force, right? Our impulse, our personal virtue that is propelling you forward right now. And it's an Ace of Swords, right? It illuminates and empowers you to move forward. This is a card of clarity. We have the Five of Swords, right? We're asking questions. This isn't the card of answers. This is the card of not needing the answers. The benefit is in the thought process, not on the answer that gets spit out from your computer brain later on. It's not about solving the equation and finding, okay, X equals, 6 or something. It's about the process of thinking about something. So you may notice that you think and think and think about stuff all day long. You never really get many answers. You never really get any conclusions, any concrete, aha, I know the answer, X equals 6 or whatever, or, the square root of 1. It's in the process of dialoguing with ourselves that we then come to a clarity. We come to this realization that there are no absolute truths, but I know kind of intuitively I have calmed down my mind. It's like we have to let the mind run on and on and on. This is a trick of meditation too, right? The Five of Swords is the monkey mind, and this is the still mind. It doesn't necessarily have the answers to the questions we've been asking, but has a clarity that kind of just knows what to do. Okay? And the trick of the mind, the trick of meditation, is sometimes to just let the mind run on and on and on and on and on. Get it all out. It's kind of a purging. Whenever you start meditating after a long absence, to me anyway, for me, I have to let my mind do whatever it wants to do for at least a few weeks, where it's just thinking about whatever the heck it wants. I'm not even bothering to really pay attention. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. Eventually, it's going to wear itself out and it's going to calm down naturally. But it's kind of like it has all this, when you haven't seen your friend in a long time, and then you finally get together and you both just can't stop talking because it's been a long time. And then eventually just, you're done. I got it all out. That's kind of the mind purging itself, right? From however long, from days or weeks or months of accumulating all of these impressions, right? And then when we finally sit down and meditate and it has that opportunity then to spit out all those impressions or process them or whatever it really is doing, then the monkey mind goes on and on and on and on and on and on until it just wears itself out a little bit. And it gets easier to find the clarity, to find the needle in the haystack, right? Because the Five of Swords is a card of chaos, really, right? It's thoughts and questions that keep going and going and going. It is sort of a static. It's the noise of the mind, and now we have that clarity. So this is the strength that you're ready to embrace. This clarity is what you need to harness, right, in order to manifest whatever the destiny is here, whatever is coming next for you. Knowing this is the intuition. See, your consciousness, the sword, has penetrated beyond the chaos of the mind, and the tip of the sword is now in outer space receiving the divine rays, the cosmic rays, the starlight is coming in. That divine light is coming in, the spiritual light. And it's informing you. So it's not the mind solving an equation. It's the mind doing what it does until it exhausts itself, and then the answer dawns upon you, like a sunrise. And I think this is it. This is perfect. Okay, you have really the best setup of cards here, I got to say. The future position 6, is the imago. It's the event that reveals your next step or kind of the future events. The immediate consequences of your actions, whatever you do now, is going to change something. And this is the Five of Pentacles, right? This is the shape of our unfolding journey. Where your path leads next is something changing. Whatever your decision is right now is going to destabilize something, okay? And we have to understand how our choices are going to create a disturbance in the stability of our lives, right? It's a 5. We have a 5 of swords and a 5 of pentacles. We're thinking about change, and then here is now the change is happening, okay? So it may be that at first you're choosing yes, you're saying yes to something is what I feel. We're giving space so that we can have that dialogue and get the clarity so we can move forward into what seems like a very challenging thing. We're going from some kind of stability to instability. You're going from like a 4 of Pentacles, a solid state, to now things are spinning around. And so we better make sure this is the right move before we start spinning a bunch of plates or before we start packing up our belongings, right? Collecting our personal effects and putting them on the truck and getting a move on. We're making sure that this is the right thing. We need the clarity to dawn, and then we're going forward. Going forward is the change. This is a card of worry. This is a card of literally physical pieces moving around. So I feel like this is rearranging something in your life. Whatever response you project is going to change something in your life. And we want to make sure that this is a positive change that's leading to the further growth and evolution of our lives. Okay? So the question really is, does this choice guide me, to the life that I seek? Is this worth the change? This is the immediate disruption or change of life. And of course, we have our death card, which is the long-term change. This is something lasting for you. Okay, this is a change that's going to be around for a while. Okay, and so there's going to be some initial difficulty, some initial worry and stress, some initial moving around of the pieces, but this is for a long-term growth and evolution. So short-term kind of chaos for long-term growth. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the path of the serpent. As we do this, I would like to ask for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed, please do. If there's anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Okay. Now, your persona, the general energy, of course, is the Prince of Swords. And this is part of your character. And this shows your public mask, the social face that we wear, how we present ourselves to the world. And this seems like someone who always has their mind made up. Doesn't have to think. It's a fixed air energy. It's kind of like one-track mind. So I think that, this is the image that other people see. This is how other people see you. And maybe how we sometimes can see ourselves, if we really look in the mirror. We might see that, yeah, sometimes I didn't give enough space for thought, for thinking things through all the way. Maybe we have, with that 9 of Cups, maybe we have made decisions in the past that have been too impulsive, and then come to find out they haven't really been improving our lives. That sometimes we have made decisions that either diminish our happiness or really could have. I feel like with the 9 of Cups there was like a near miss. That we made some decisions that could have really ended badly, but thankfully they were okay. And so now we're like, okay, now I know I got to think a little bit more about, I got to do something differently, So, this persona is somebody that does not give a lot of thought to what they're doing, kind of just trusts in the impulse and moves forward in that way. This is somebody with a fixed mind. And sometimes this fixed or rigid mind is not flexible enough. Right? This is kind of fixed in place, whereas our 5 of Swords is motion, movement, being able to think of different ideas. This is like that one-track mind that is believes in like one thing, and that's the only perspective that it can see, right? And so it's very limiting. This is a very narrow worldview, whereas the 5 of Swords is saying, I'm thinking of all the options, I'm asking all the questions. This is someone who feels like they know the answers already. Okay, and this, again, this isn't you, but this is how other people might see you. And, I think that this is a little bit not really the case. I don't feel like this really represents who you are. Maybe we have been this way at times where we felt like we knew everything already, and so we could just jump into some action or behavior or decision. But this isn't who you are now anyway. Okay, so this persona isn't really serving you very well. I think it's okay to let other people see a different side of you, the side that needs to sort of talk things through and think things through and ask the questions, rather than somebody that just kind of appears to already know all the answers. But I guess it feels good when people see us this way, right? But not always, right? But I think it's good to surprise people, because I feel that people expect a certain reaction from you. People think they know what you're going to do. Aries, I know what they're going to do, right? And we don't want people to always know what we're going to do. So I feel like things are changing for you. I think we're growing and evolving in that way internally. Now the next card is the Shadow card, position 8. This is sometimes a hidden influence or event in your environment, circumstances that test you by stirring something inside of you, and this is a Mars in Capricorn type of energy. And it's the 3 of Pentacles, it's work. So I feel like this is something to do with a financial opportunity, a business opportunity, or a living opportunity, like a living situation or a house or, something like that. Because this is something that is sort of speaking to your ambition. This is saying, hey, there's something out there in the world. It's like an opportunity. This is a card of potential success. And it's kind of like we're saying, kind of have that 9 of Cups back there already. Is this a decision? Is this potential here? Is this worth the effort? It's sort of a risk-reward question. Is it worth the risk? And the Princess of Wands is a card of risk-taking. Not being reckless. This card might be reckless by itself, but with the 5 of Swords, now it becomes a reasonable risk. Okay, it becomes a risk that we have thought through. We're not being reckless. It's a calculated risk. Okay? Because something is happening in your environment that is a real potential. But whatever this is, it's appealing to your Mars and Capricorn energy. It's appealing to your strength. It's kind of like pushing you. It's like hitting you in the chest and saying, you can't do this, right? This is too much for you. And so I think that response is for us to say, oh yeah, I want to bet. Want to see me climb that mountain faster than anybody else? And so we're sort of being goaded into something, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If it stimulates your ambition or your competitive energy, it's okay. But we have to make sure that we're not just being lured into something that's going to be bad for us. Especially if it's kind of like a dare in a way. Somebody's daring you to do something. Well, if it's something I want to do, if it's something that's going to make me happy, then it's okay that I am stimulated by the dare, because that gets me out doing something that's going to be good for me, right? Oh, I bet you can't, eat a bunch of vegetables for the year, and I bet you can't get really, really healthy or something like that. Oh, okay, I'll take that bet, dare me to do it kind of thing. But to dare you to do something that's ridiculous and unhealthy and, and harmful to our being, to our well-being, then that's the risky behavior of the Princess of Wands that we don't want to elicit. But the calculated risk might say, yeah, this is something that's good for me. It's something that could perhaps potentially make my life better. This is a good investment. And I'm okay with being aroused and stimulated and ambitious toward this thing. Okay, so this Three of Pentacles is it sort of provokes that shadow part of us. And it's not so much the shadow, it's provoking that impulsivity. Mars and Capricorn. Capricorn wants to climb the mountain. Mars says, I'm going to do it at any cost, right? And so that's kind of where Mars might be a little bit harmful to ourselves. We want to make sure that we can be thoughtful and reasonable about this, that we calculate the risk, and we think, yeah, this is a good investment. This is a good idea, okay? And so your environment is sort of goading you or pushing you into this situation, and it's forcing us to sort of take a moment to breathe, to think, to question, to gain clarity before we act on this potential. Okay. And position 9 is your character. It's the specter. It is the fear, the worry, and the concern. Yeah. These are perhaps some anxieties, some hidden worries that may haunt you, parts of yourself that challenge your growth. And it's a fixed energy too. It's a fixed fire energy. Okay, so this is kind of like, our inner dread. It's the Prince of Wands, and this might be saying, I don't want to stay the same, continuing to do the same. I don't want this to be a lateral move. I don't want to continue just moving in a straight line. I want my line to go up and to the right, where things are increasing over time, yeah? But this is a flat line. This is kind of the same thing, the same effort, the same result. And so this is kind of, again, challenging our growth, kind of saying, I want to get out of this, I don't want to be stuck in the comfort zone. So we're sort of, we see an opportunity for us to externally grow, take advantage, maybe get more out of life, to fulfill more of our destiny, to build more of our best life up, to get happier, to get more abundance. And we're thinking that, this could potentially bring me to the next level. This could start like pushing the line upward. But there's a risk, because anytime, it's enough to just maintain the straight line. Now we're taking a risk, a calculated risk, to go up a little bit, but there's also the risk that we could kind of come down a little bit too, right? So this is what we have to face, and I think what we have to face is part of that essential Aries nature, that we don't want to just be, steady as she goes. If this is going to be, if this is a good decision, it has to be one that could potentially take me upward. Right? I don't want to just make a lateral move. If I'm going to go from this company to that company, or that house, move over here to that house, there's got to be something better about the latter option, right? Because we're not just going to move to the same house, but in a different place. There has to be a reason. There has to be a benefit to it. Does that make sense? And so this is what we don't want to become this. And I think that we're not trying to stagnate. We're not trying to just continue to put in the same amount of effort and do the same thing and get the same results. We're kind of looking for change. I mean, you're the cardinal fire sign anyway. So we are looking for change. We're looking for ways to continue growth. Well, the next card is your position 10, your destiny. This is your event, the final outcome of your journey, the projected culmination of your quest, and the external events that shape your transformation. This is the external growth. This is saying that whatever this decision is that's on the table is going to lead to your up and to the right, your projected growth line. And it's going to be something that over time is going to be beneficial for you. This isn't just going to be a flat thing. This is the steady course of change. It's the nature of nature, right? It's the fundamental force of the universe, and it is change. And so we're looking for growth. We're looking for change. We're looking for evolution. Whatever decision you're making, due to your internal growth, is leading to growth and change in the external world. And this is going to be kind of long-term. So I think you're understanding the long-term consequences of the choice you're making. Not just the immediate disruption of life, how things are going to change in the short term, but over the course of time, how things are going to evolve. We kind of see that, this is going to take me steadily upward and to the right in the direction I want to go, basically, right? And so this is sort of shaping our transformation. I think that we're taking the time to sort of think of the consequences, to think of the short term and the long term and everything in between, asking all the questions. And now we are thinking of the long term and kind of asking, who am I, where am I, and what am I doing down the road? What do I want to become? And how is my decision now today, my response, my reaction, how is that helping me to shape my truest self, my best life, And what do I have to do today to fulfill my highest potential? There's no guarantees. The only thing that's guaranteed is that things are going to change. Whatever your decision is now is going to change your life. I think it's your time to make an intentional decision to nudge this river in the direction you want it to go. And we don't want to do that impulsively, because that's kind of letting the kids drive the car. No, I want to drive the car. I want my fortified ego, informed by spirit, to drive the car in the direction that I want to take my life. So in other words, we're sort of nudging the river. Yeah? Instead of letting life just be sort of haphazard and chaotic and random or impulsive, we're pausing and we're thinking it through. We're getting the clarity. We're tempering our reactions, and we're going to nudge the river in the right direction. So you're making the decision that is ultimately going to lead to your improvement, your superabundance, more of the good stuff in life. Okay? And I feel like this is, I feel like it's your time. I feel like this is going to be a good opportunity for you. Okay? Now let's look at the final card. With the Tiny Bob Ross, this is position 11. This is the guide. This is your higher self, your inner teacher and deepest wisdom. It shows the character qualities that you need to develop in order to walk the path ahead of you, right? Every card in the spread alternates between your character and the events that help to shape your character, okay? So what do we think this is going to be? I don't know. I don't know how to predict that. This could be something like patience. This could be about pause. It could be the Four of Swords. It could be an ace of something, right? It could be the Aries power card. Let's take a look. A Queen of Cups. Interesting that we get more of the water energy, right? This is the voice of your soul's truth. What message does your higher self offer you? The message of the depth of your feeling, the depth of your emotions. Let's not just be surface level reactive. Let's really be deep here. Let's get down to the very core of who we are and find out, is this truly what feels right to me? Maybe the whole air energy, the whole swords card thing is a red herring. And we're asking all these questions, just trying to exhaust the mind. Let the monkey mind wear itself out, let it fall asleep in the corner, so that your heart can sort of speak up, so that we can feel what our soul is telling us. How does this decision feel for you? How does this opportunity feel? Does it feel right? Not does it feel good in the short term, because it probably won't. Maybe short term it's going to just be, oh, I'm going to have to pack my house. I'm going to have to have a garage sale. Like, it's stressful, right? But how does it really feel? How is this decision speaking to you? So really, this is you trying to get in touch with your emotions, to feel that feeling. Is this going to make my life better or worse? Am I optimistic here? Do I feel like my life can get better through this decision? Ultimately, long term. Short term is going to be a lot of work. But how does it feel, right? So this card is all about getting in touch with your emotions, and all this Swords cards is about you running out the mind so that you can actually just feel the heart. Remember, the monkey mind's asleep in the corner with the teddy bear and a binky. So now the heart can really be heard and felt. Yeah, I think this is the perfect capstone on this reading. Let the lessons of these 11 stations settle into your heart, okay? Each card is a mirror. Each station is a temple of transformation. And remember that the tarot does not dictate your future. It reveals the pattern of possibilities. It invites you to co-create your destiny and nudge the river a little bit. If this reading has illuminated your path in any way, please share your reflections down below in the comment section. Together we travel onward, ever upward and ever inward. And we're going to do an extended reading as well. We'll do some hexagrams, we'll do an Jing, we'll do the oracle cards, the whole works. Okay. Click on the link in the corner. There's also a link in the video description. New readings for Aries on Mondays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.